So, for example, the process of improvisation, I think there are some very basic questions at the beginning. How do we map improvisational techniques onto the creative process of a composition? What languages and strategies do we use in compositional practices within the different improvisation-related disciplines? Because a jazz musician improvises different from a dancer, and a dancer improvises different from an actor. Does this mapping and refining of improvisational practices help us understand the process of composition? I believe that because as a composer also I use improvisation to compose, I find that link very clear and very direct. And the moment that that's made explicit in the rehearsal room, and I also try to work with performers that can improvise, because there could be a huge disaster when you ask somebody to improvise and say, actually, I'm very sorry, but I don't improvise. And that's the same is with a musician. It could be a very fantastic classical musician. You say, look, the score will be improvised. You say, I'm very sorry, but I do not do that. They will say, well, we have to terminate our collaboration now. And then, but there are some other people who are really very much into improvisation. And then you working with those people, I think, highlights certain aspects of that relationship. Also, can knowledge that is developed in relation to improvisational practices be transferred from one discipline to another in a collaborative environment? I believe that's definitely the case, and that's what I'm trying to do, transfer from music musical processes into creating theatre processes and techniques. And especially when it comes to form, I think musicians are very used to ABA or theme and variation or rondo, or forms which are instantly recognizable by people who are musically educated. The moment you share those, then it's very interesting to see your theme goes fine, but can we have the variation a bit more? And then you talk in languages which might sound a bit alien at first, but after a week, it could really make the rehearsal process a completely different environment. And also, we dealt with the fact that we are dealing with non-homogeneous and or multidisciplinary background and working practices of the people involved. We cannot assume that everybody has had the same training. We cannot assume that everybody has had the same experiences. I did a performance 2 years ago called The Symposium, based on Plato's The Symposium, where for 6 weeks, the only thing we did is to try to create that language. There, we used a lot of contact improvisation, a lot of improvising on the spot on specific impulses, themes, words, creating text on the spot, responding to text on the spot. So after that, we had to work only for 1 week, concentrating on what is going to happen in the performance, which had, let's say, 8 parts. And then they filled the parts in my view, very, very successfully without having to rehearse very much. And then we had a 60-minute performance just out of that 6 weeks of training them to talk the same language.